Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Please confirm if I am audible. And just for the purposes of putting a face to for the rest of the people to know who is speaking, that is me. I don't know if we all can hear me clearly.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Awesome, awesome. Um, sure, guys. Uh, I want to start by really thanking you so much to my friend Mary Goretti, who I met I think about 3 months ago at a program that brought us together, and we had some amazing reflections, and we kind of figured we had a lot of common things that we are working on in the youth space together. And she introduced me to the Walter Okello Mentorship Program. I think that's about 3 weeks ago. And we were looking at an opportunity where I could be able to come in and just share a little bit about what I do, and also what we do, what I do as an individual, and also what we do at the Youth Parliament of Kenya. So much appreciation goes to the Walter Mentorship Program. You guys are doing an amazing thing, and I'm really grateful to be associated with you. The second thing is, unfortunately, I got caught up today with a lot of things that I was trying to execute earlier on. This is why I have joined slightly late, and there were some things that I was still trying to put into place. So I might start showing my slides up to some point, probably around page number 5. And probably I won't keep on sharing because I haven't finished on that. But I will still continue sharing. And I would love also to actually have some more faces on. I can see people have just put the voice. If I could see a couple of faces there, that would be good. It will help me to have engagement. Thank you so much, Walter. Is that Walter?
No, America. I'm the one who's controlling the account.
Okay, I can see because now I wonder, like literally everywhere I can see Walter Okello, Walter Okello. Great. That's Mary. Yeah. So nimeona wase wamefilter out their backgrounds. Young iko real pale. So don't mind about where I am. I'm actually in my small office space. And just give me a minute. I'm also trying to log in using my laptop so that I can be able to do the presentation. But Eric, Mary, and the team, you guys are doing an amazing thing. And we don't have a shortage of mentorship programs in this country. We have a lot of opportunities that are out there for young people, and these young people need to actually be able to access such avenues like the one you guys are offering at the Walter Okello Foundation. But the thing that we fail at mostly, especially young people, is where we have this particular number of young people that have got a closed mind, that there are avenues that can be able to help them to be shaped into the kind of leaders that we are seeking. And when we talk about leadership, we are not basically just talking about crafting political leaders. We have leaders across different sections. We can talk about leaders in community levels. These are people who actually put their life on the line to be able to see that there are some empowerment initiatives that are all geared towards development of our communities. We have leaders who are in the corporate spaces. We have leaders who are in public offices. We have politicians, also public office. And so there are very many avenues of leadership. But many times, and I think this is because we are in a season that we really desire to see a change, especially when it comes to representation in a political landscape. And so when you talk about leadership, many of the young people go straight direct into narrowing this one into political leadership. And we are trying to demystify that at the Youth Parliament of Kenya, that when we are talking about leadership, it is preparing people for all sorts of avenues that leadership skills will be needed and required. And so it isn't just about political leadership alone, but literally all the avenues that provide space for you to become a leader. Just a minute, I want to log into my laptop. I hope that's okay. Guys, sorry for that. So I haven't had the privilege to meet the visionary leader behind the Okello mentorship program. Is he in the room? I'll be privileged to just hear from him if he's in the room.
I think he's here. Maybe Walter, as Benjamin sets up the laptop, you can say a word.
Kindly, please. And the idea behind the Walter Foundation, Walter Mentorship Program.
Thank you, Eric, and good evening, Benjamin, and everyone
Good evening,
in the room.
Ricky.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to put up my camera. Unfortunately, I'm not able to put up my camera, but it's a pleasure meeting you, Benjamin, and the entire team this evening. The topic we're handling is very important for us. As Mary Goretti said in the introduction, it's coming at a very timely moment when we're having serious conversations about leadership in the country and in the corporate sector and all over. Because at the end of the day, my belief is that success of all entities rise and fall on leadership. And so the question of leadership, especially for young people, any element in terms of capacity building, anything that will enhance productivity and ability to offer quality leadership is a welcome contribution. And so I thank you, Benjamin, for taking your time to share with the team, and we're eagerly waiting to just harvest from your pot of wisdom. Pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much, Walter. And it's a privilege to be here tonight to share with you guys. Just a minute. Okay. Awesome. All right. I think you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So as Goretti made the introduction, my name is Benjamin Pascal Nabwana, and I am part of a youth organization that is building itself strategically, intentionally across the 47 counties. At this particular time, maybe most of you have not heard about the Youth Parliament of Kenya yet, and that is not accidental. It is intentional and also strategic. We have observed for a slight period of time. The Youth Parliament of Kenya starts as an idea in the year 2019. It has a couple of young people who have the same perspective when it comes to youth representation in the youth governance space. And there is a very big aspect that through the years, even until to the period of 2024 finance budget protest, and even at this particular point as we are speaking, we have a very visible gap in the youth space. Several youth organizations have come up, and the beauty about the nation of Kenya is that we have so many youth organizations, and this is something that is quite advantageous. The reason why I say so is because youth organizations, as many as they are, gives an opportunity where, of course, we have fragmented organizations spread across the country. In itself, it's a very big advantage because we are trying to highlight key important issues. These are challenges that are facing young people. So that's the end goal. But our approaches might actually be slightly different. When you come to Walter Okello mentorship program, when you look at the strategic plan, you come to look at what are the key priority areas. You can move from one organization to another, and you'll see that they have similar end goal, but you will find that the approach they use, the strategies they utilize as the ones that slightly differ. So in itself, as many as we are, this youth organization, that's supposed to be a very big advantage. And unfortunately, also, it has now worked also against us for the fact that we have not been able to consolidate this opportunity that we have in diversity, this fragmentation that we have. Because we have the same end goal, how then can we be able to come to work together? And I will show you why I'm saying we have a slightly bigger challenge. At this particular point, the momentum that had been started by the Gen Z finance protest in 2024 could have actually worked way better at this particular point if actually the other organizations that are championing for youth matters, youth issues, will have actually come together and say, hey, we may be having different approach to what we are all aiming at, but can we be able to come together and just like have a voice that is unified and be able to push for the challenges that young people are going through and have them addressed through a unified voice. So many organizations, whenever they are formed, the visionary members or the visionary leaders usually have a particular goal in mind. And this is good. And sometimes it's also good, actually, by the way, when you're forming something, please also have an ambition with that. What is it also? How are you positioning yourself in as much as you're also doing this? How does this also help you to put yourself out there? Which is very important. But what I have observed with my time in the youth space is there ends up to have this particular challenge where the ambition, self-ambition overruns the entire aspect where we are supposed to be building each other. And so you find many keep on championing for the specific ambitions of the visionary founder or visionary members. And then once most of them attain the target that they had in mind, they actually now go ahead and leave the rest of the young people that have come along with them hanging. And so this is the challenge that we observed. So there is this particular organization, and I think you guys definitely know it, and probably some of you have been members or maybe are members. It's called the National Youth Council, which was, of course, started as an act of parliament. I guess this is 2012. Yeah. From that particular time, it did some really good, amazing job, absolutely, up to a particular point. Then they were not felt anymore. And then the government started now trying to revive the whole thing. But as you understand, at this particular point, I don't. This one needs confirmation, but the parliament did actually pass a certain budget that was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
We lost you somewhere.
But can you hear me now?
Yes.
I hope I'm still loud and clear.
Yes.
Can someone
We can hear you.
confirm that you can hear me? Yes. So what I was trying to mention is that there was a budget approval that was made at the parliament to actually approve the National Youth Council to have election representation across the entire nation, so that each county can have a structure for NYC available in that particular space. Unfortunately, that has become a challenge, and we are no longer feeling the weight of that. No, it's not the network buffering. I just lost power and I had connected to my Wi-Fi, so it's now using data. That's why. But I've put off the Wi-Fi so that I can just use the data. Yeah. All right. So a minute, guys. Sorry for that. All right, now we're back. So I was giving a little bit of a background about what we are experiencing currently in the youth space. Why I believe that we have a gap, and this gap is something that we are trying to be able to address. So the Youth Parliament of Kenya is basically trying to let young people across the whole country know that we have a space that is willing and ready to give a platform where we can be able to actually brainstorm on the issues that we go through, and then have the same platform to brainstorm on the customized solution for the challenges that we are undergoing. And this is now helping us to have inclusive voices across all parts of Kenya and deeply into the grassroots. Something I might want to mention is we have simulated the national government structure. And this is because of two reasons. One of the reasons is because we have observed and identified that the structure the government uses is the most efficient one that actually connects from the national level all the way to the grassroots. And so it is very possible. I know there are other approaches, but we looked at this structure and we felt it's the same. I might be able to share more on this for any other person that probably is interested to know more about us. So I don't want to spend a lot of time probably talking about the Youth Parliament of Kenya. I want us to get into this, but I was giving you just a little bit brief about the Youth Parliament of Kenya. So that representation across the 47 counties is very important so that we can have inclusive voices of the young people. You have often had this particular situation where a couple of very very informed young people in urban-centric regions get to access information a bit earlier, then have a meeting probably in a boardroom somewhere in Nairobi, and then they come up with resolutions, then they do a press statement and say, this is the voice of the young people across Kenya. Then you'll hear a young person in local Nyanza say, hey, who are these guys? We've never even heard about them. They're saying this is the voice of the young people. I have not even given my views. So those are the challenges that we are currently facing in the youth space. And I believe that is what we should be trying to address. And that is through us, the Youth Parliament of Kenya, in partnership with as many partners out there. And I have actually been looking at what Walter Okello mentorship program is doing, and I believe you are kind of people that we will be interested to have conversations with and see how we can be able to partner. We don't duplicate what other organizations are doing. We see what they're doing best, and then we try to look at it from the perspective, this program, it's amazing. What is the scope of your reach? If probably you are within Nyanza region, or maybe you are across how many, probably let's say 5 counties or about 10 countries. And this is a program that should be across the whole nation. So with the structures that the Youth Parliament of Kenya has across the 47 counties, we can look at the avenues. How can we be able now to scale what you guys are doing so that we do not duplicate anything, but now scale up what you have across the region? So number one, it creates now your visibility of growth a little bit faster. Then secondly, we also look at the aspect, do you have the logistics? Are the resources enough to scale the programs that you have? If not, then how can we have the best of your team and the best of our team come together, source for the grants that are available for the specific niche that we are trying to address, then do something together and then have grants written for this. Once we get that, then we can be able to co-implement this particular project and have it scaled across the country. Because if there is something that we have at this particular moment, and we need to get this right, is that young people have only each other. We have seen projects that are being, championed, to reduce the high rate of unemployment. But unfortunately, that is not adequately addressed because some players believe that they have the means and the abilities to, address this number of unemployment, and they're coming up with programs. But unfortunately, these programs are also controlled. And I usually we have what I call gatekeepers, who will decide who is more fit to actually get these opportunities. And then, so the gatekeeping makes sure that there are some marginalized people that will never have access to resources, access to these opportunities, and that now becomes the biggest problem. So if we young people are united, unified, partner together to address these challenges as they are, we have so many. Talk about drug addiction and stuff. Because if you are trying to actually work with young people, you will definitely not work with young people who are more like zombies because they are adversely affected by drug addiction and substance abuse. We will have to address that particular issue. There is an employment issue, there's GBV, all those things. And I believe Walter Okello mentorship program is actually highlighting some of those particular things. And this is some of the things that I'm talking about as being able to partner with the organizations like yours. So allow me to just jump right into the next slide.
Hi,
yes,
Pascal.
Mary.
Yes, I'm sorry to cut you off, but then the conversation we are having is really amazing. But then at the back of my mind, these are some of the questions that we really need to have as we are having these conversations, for me, for you, and the amazing young people that have joined these spaces. And so I'll maybe just let me post these questions to us so that even as we're having the conversation, we are having the presentation, then we get to have this at the back of our minds. And so my one question is, what does these leadership spaces looks like for a young person, for somebody who is at the grassroots level, for someone who is in Siaya County, for someone who is in Nyanza, someone who is in the village? What does these spaces looks like? Are they only spaces for politics or political spaces, or as a young person, are these spaces existing? And then number two, also just what does youth meaningful engagement looks like for a young person? And what are some of the capacities or other skills that I need to have to step up into these spaces? Yeah, so even as much as we're having this conversation, the presentation, let's have that at the back of our minds to at least be able to address the gaps. The gaps the gaps are existing, but then we are having this space today to get to identify, are these spaces really existing for us, or they're just spaces we talk about, leadership spaces? Are they there? And if they're there, how then as young people we can get to step up into those? Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. That is a very important question. What does these leadership opportunities look like from urban-centric areas to the grassroots? And is it just within the political space, or we have others that are available? Yeah, those are very important conversations that we need to have. And we will just get into that shortly. But allow me to also just begin with this particular question. And this is something that I would love the team to ask. I would love to hear from just, 2 or 3 people. And the question I want to ask, very important, is are leaders born or are leaders made? So you can type, because we won't probably have everyone saying, but I'm just gonna, probably select 2 or 3, 2 people just to tell us what their perspective is. Are leaders born or are leaders made? Maybe can I ask, yeah, I can see Edward is on, Edward and Eric. And then probably I will have just one lady, Beryl, and then we push through. I'm gonna try to go a little bit faster so that I can be able to share as much as I can. I don't know if I will have part 2, but I'm requesting if there will be an opportunity for a part 2, that would be amazing. Yeah, I can see some people putting their chats in there. That's awesome. So Eric, let's start with Eric, then Edward, and then we will do a lady. Let's say Beryl. Yeah. Eric, can you be able to share what you think about that question? Are leaders born or are leaders made?
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I think leaders are born. The reason why their leaders are made. The reason why I'm saying leaders are made is because as you grow up, the kind of experiences that you have, you're kind of bringing your interest and every other thing that you interact with as you grow up shapes the kind of leader that you are supposed to be, the kind of opportunities that you get. So all those things actually really shape the kind of person that we eventually become, and that also includes the kind of leader that we have. And I actually want to agree with you, as you started by saying that we're not talking about holding positions, but just being responsible within the kind of spaces that we have. So I would want to say leaders are made. If they were born, then somebody will just be born and the following day they start leading because they are ready. But that is not actually true.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. Edward, what is your reflection on that question? Wow, I can see Boaz and Enoch. Wow, this is amazing. Now people are beginning to become active. Awesome. Edward. Edward, you are on mute. You can unmute. You're on mute. So as Edward figures out the unmuting, maybe we can have Enoch. I can see Enoch's hand is up.
Yes, thank you.
Then, Edward, you can also use the chat. Yes.
For me, I think these things, they both go together because there are some features in a leader that you will be born with. For example, there are some people that they just have the natural charisma and they have some strong cognitive processing, and they have they are always being driven and ambition. They got very big ambitions and they keep on going. And then we have people who are nurtured, they are developed. This is something that is not innate. They are just coming on to strategic thinking by what they have seen on the ground, or technical competence by learning, or they start the emotional intelligence. Before they were not, they never had that, but through learning and being under some people, they developed that. And even public speaking and communication in a leader, they have it due that they have learned it from the environment. Yes, that's my take.
So your take is leaders are born.
My take is this thing, they both qualify. There's much, some leaders are born and some leaders are made.
Okay, all right. Boaz, and then we do Beryl, and then I think Edward and the rest can just leave chats. We will read the chats later, but let's hear it from Boaz.
Okay, thank you, Pascal, for the opportunity. I think for me, leaders are born, and I want to concur with what my colleague who has just concluded has said.
Yeah.
That when it comes to things like charisma, confidence, and emotional intelligence, these are inborn qualities that you cannot plant them in somebody.
Yes.
There are things that someone is born with, they grow up with them, and the more they get exposed to leadership experience and mentorship, they sharpen them. And that is where they grow. So for me, there's nothing like a leader is being made or nurtured. For me, somebody is born as a leader,
yeah,
or not as a leader. So they just work on those things through some processes like mentorship, learning, just to build on what they are already born with. So for me, leaders are born. Thank you.
Awesome. Beryl? Is Beryl there? We can hear from a lady. Agatha, if Beryl is not available.
Thank you, I'm available. I don't know if I'm the only Beryl or there is another.
You can go. Beryl,
okay, from my point of view, I want to say that are you listening?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. From my point of view, I want to say that leaders are made. And I'll back up my point by saying that even though some characteristics or traits are born with some people, for example, confidence and intelligence, or high thinking capacity, and the ability to stand before the people, but these traits also need to be nurtured. For example, even if you have a high thinking capacity, you still need to go through some training or some learning for you to be able to which word am I going to use? Ndo unacha hiyo confidence vizuri. Yeah, you can still be having the confidence, but you still need some learning so that ikae something that you own. No. Yeah, so I want to say that leaders are made.
Awesome. All right. That is actually interesting. And we can now confirm that we are all coming from a particular perspective of understanding how a leader comes about. And true, just like some of you have already mentioned, there are some things that, trust me, no matter what happens, it is only an innate nature or inborn aspect that can actually, drive a leader. Also some other aspects that will need to be, to be made through this particular individual. And this comes through avenues where their skill sets, their sharpening of these. And there is something very interesting that he said there are some unique. There are some people who are just born intellectuals. So nurture in someone, it is an inborn thing. So what we agree is that leaders can be born, but also leaders need to be made. It is a combination of all these. So some believe leadership is a natural thing. Others believe leadership is developed. And the truth is that both can be true, because one thing is very certain, that leadership requires formation. So being born with leadership potential means little if you also never undergo the process shapes leaders. And that is why you'll find most of the people that are actually pushing for change. When we just look at this particular moment, we have been having spotlight on some of those young people, the Young Turks from 1992, right? Some of them are there, others have just recently passed, like, of course, the Enigma himself, someone who has been in that particular space. So most of young leaders that we are seeing today stepping into that particular thing, you can see. If I give an example of huyu jamaa mwenye anasemanga mimi ndiyo katibu mkuu chama cha ODM. That guy usually says he was taken under the wing of the late Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga at the age of 35. And he was nurtured for a period of about 10 years. And now you can see where he is right at this particular moment. He's now into the spotlight, into the limelight, but there was a process that he had to undergo. But when you look at this guy, Sifuna, he's just naturally gifted as a leader, but he actually had to undergo the process of formation. So being born, as I mentioned, with leadership potential will mean little if you also never go the process shapes leaders. So a reflection question for us as we proceed is, do you believe leadership is something you naturally have, or it's something that you must develop? So that is a takeaway that we might actually take at our own respective times, just look at it how it is. So how a leader becomes a process. And this is what I tried to map it out to figure what this looks like. So there is an aspect about identity. There is an aspect about your purpose and your assignment. There is an aspect about lifestyle alignment. And number 3 is the biggest challenge that we have at the current moment. Whereas some people might have identified already known their identity, have already known purpose or assignment. Most of them, when it comes to lifestyle and alignment in accordance to that particular purpose and assignment, that is where we have a challenge. Then there is a 4th aspect, which I call the sphere of influence, right? And
Benjamin, I think you've lost you again.
I don't know if it was on my end or the recording just disappeared. So I'm here. So I was saying the 4th is sphere of influence. Then the 5th is mentorship and skill development. And that is now why you can see there are people who say that there is an aspect about a leader being, made. That is through mentorship and skill development. And Walter Okello mentorship program is one that is actually helping to prepare those.
We've lost you again, Pascal.
Can you hear me?
We lost you.
I've been speaking believing that I'm heard. So the 4th thing I said is about the aspect of sphere of influence. I will explain mentorship and skill development, like what now the Walter Okello mentorship program is doing, helping young people who some are born, some have not even identified that they are leaders, but they're taken through the mentorship and skill development. And then number 6 is the aspect about influence and impact. You can never reach level 6, influence and impact, without going through these processes from number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, and eventually that 6. So leaders are not accidents of history. They are actually products of intentional formation. And that I can look at it from my own personal journey, and I can actually tell you that is what I have come to see. We may have a different perspective, probably from our angle of a perspective on this particular aspect. But now allow me to just be specific what it looks like when I'm talking about so when we ask about what your identity is, there are three basic questions that someone has to ask themselves. Who am I? Right? What are the values that define me? Because if without identity, leadership becomes imitation. And oh God, the worst kind of scenario any person can ever live through in their journey is to live without an identity. And then you actually pick something from someone that, kenye wanafanya inakujaz sana. So una observe hiyo vile umse anaishi, what they do, how they do it, and then you try to actually imitate that particular person. Trust me, many of us tend to live in that particular environment until one time something happens. Then a shift goes about and they identify, I have been living something that is not me. Then they are going to take themselves back to what they were actually supposed to be. So identity, three questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And how do I live in accordance to my assignment or purpose? And then the second most important thing is to understand, what is my assignment? All of us here, we are here not by accident. We are here because there is something specifically unique that we are supposed to be able to address. And guess what? If Walter came up with this particular vision, that is the vision that Walter was given as an assignment. If Walter today were to get that particular vision and give it to his best friend to run that particular vision, the best friend will run with that particular blueprint, but at some point, Walter will come in and say, I have observed what you're doing, but there are some key things that you have left out. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So what is happening? It's because Walter gave the blueprint to his friend, but now that particular blueprint was supposed to be executed, implemented by Walter himself. Of course, that does not mean that Walter is not going to work with people. And that's why I'm so glad. Walter, when I looked at the screen, I was seeing everyone has logged in with Walter Mentorship Program, because Walter Okello, there are different people who brings different kind of skill sets to the team so that jointly the Walter Okello Mentorship Program can be able to achieve that particular vision or the blueprint that Walter was working with in the first place. So it is very important to understand our assignment. And when we do not understand our assignment, this is why imitation will come in, and someone will want, Beryl will want to execute something the way Mary Goretti is doing it. And probably at some point they'll feel frustrated, or maybe they will not execute something as better as Mary, because what is happening? They are running with a blueprint that is not theirs. So these are the key things that as we are mentoring our young people through our programs, we need to really help them to identify what is their identity, what is their purpose and assignment. Then number 3, lifestyle alignment. And this one comes in terms of how am I going to work? If your lifestyle is one that actually speaks loud, as the way you live your lifestyle, the way you execute your life screams out loud something that is not going to actually propel or spur that particular vision. It is a self-sabotage kind of lifestyle. So it's not going to work in alignment with your assignment. There's going to be a problem. Then the aspect about alignment itself is, once you understand what your vision and what that blueprint looks like, then it is very important to also do one very important thing. And this is what I call understanding where your sphere of influence comes in. The questions that Mary, you asked a little bit earlier about where are these leadership spaces and how are they accessible when it comes to young people in the grassroots and all that. So this is now where the answer is coming in. Once you get where your assignment lies, it is also important to map what that assignment, where does it fall in the sphere of influence. And you will see what I mean by sphere of influence. Most of you guys already know some of the spheres of influence. For those that are, they're believers, they are Christian believers, not just Christians, but they're believers. You have probably heard something we call the 7 mountains of influence. But when we come to this particular leadership space, we use the term sphere of influence. And I can mention some of these. There is the sphere of governance, there is the sphere of business stroke enterprise, there is the sphere of media, there is the sphere of education, there is the sphere of culture, there is the sphere of health. Then there is another one. There are usually 7 of them. So based on what assignment you carry, you must be able to map it out and see where does it belong. Because the reason why you have to map it out is because it's going to help you to understand what are the guiding principles that lie within this particular sphere of influence that my assignment lies in. And then once you identify that, it becomes very easy for number 5 to happen: mentorship and skill development. Because now, once you understand this is my assignment. So if, for instance, their assignment was to be able to reach out to young people and probably prepare them in career choices. So that is your assignment, right? What does that particular assignment fall into? The best example I can give that particular sphere of that assignment is probably number 1, it can come under education, the sphere of education. And of course, education is wide, varied. There are trainings through TVETs, there are trainings through, normal school programs. There are trainings through different kind of programs like the one Walter Okello mentorship program is doing. So when it comes to that particular sphere of influence, it becomes easy for you to have these particular young people to understand you are not going to be the jack of all trades. Let me give a particular example. I've come to notice these things a little bit slightly later on in my mid 30s. But if I had known about this, probably saying by the time I was joining high school, trust me, I wouldn't have gone for the course that I did. I went to school and trained in campus, in college. I trained as an ICT personnel. And I majored specifically on technical support. But at this particular moment, I have understood my assignment, what it is. It is unlocking the identity of young people, helping them to discover what their assignment is, and helping them to map their assignments to their sphere of influence. And now my assignment cuts across 4 specific areas. The first one is governance. The second one is faith. Faith. The third one is business and enterprise, and the fourth one is so there are actually 4 of them. Just the last one has actually skipped my mind. So you can now see I'm very specific with what I'm doing. So how does that help me? If a young person understands something like that when they are in high school, and when they are now going to go to campus, they are not going to take on a course that does not help them. Because now where I am seated, I wish I would take the time back and go back to high school. And once I know what my area of assignment is and where it falls under the spheres of influence, I could have looked for mentors within those particular areas where my assignment ties. And then I will have taken those people seriously to help me prepare to become the person that I need to become. And this is now where mentorship and skill development will have happened. By the time I'm now ready to join campus, I wouldn't be guessing what I need to do. Or my parents will not have influenced the decision that because the family has got teachers, so I should go for teaching. No. If I will have understood that I'm supposed to be a young person going into governance, then I will have gone and taken something in campus that actually aligns with my assignment, governance. I don't know if I make sense up to that particular point. So when you now see those particular areas that I'm talking about, you now see, so I mentioned about the sphere of influence, which are around 7 of them. So there is the business stroke enterprise, there is the faith, there is media, there is health, there is culture, there is enterprise. So once those areas are identified, Mary, this is the answer for you. Young people will be able to see opportunities where their assignment actually lies. There are so many opportunities. The reason why many young people will tend to feel that opportunities are limited is because they have actually narrowed their thinking that there is just opportunities in specific places when there are various and varied. And just under those 7 also, we have so many categories. Can I give an example? If a young person understood today while they're in high school that their assignment is to nurture young people, so that means they're going to become teachers, right? And so this person will not be caught in campus doing something that is far off teaching. And even when they are doing teaching, they are going to school in campus and they're studying education, different combination. Maybe it is history and all that. But do you know, even in education, the sphere of education, someone might not end up becoming a teacher with the chalk on the board and teach in a classroom. That particular person can actually get into the sphere of education, but specifically become a policy maker in the education sector. So you can see it can be education, but this person has varied opportunities. What they just need to do is identify my skill sets. Where are they strong? Where do they align? And then how do I position myself? Which are the kind of mentors that I'm going to go for so that they nurture me, develop me, and the skill set that I'm actually earning, are they going to be the one that help me to address the policy issues in the education sphere of education? If this particular young person has identified that I'm actually going to go into the medical field, right? Medical field is also very varied. There are also young people that will identify a little bit early that professionally I'm supposed to be an accountant, but an accountant can also fall into different sphere of influence. I have come to realize that people who become accountants as a career or profession, they cut across different spheres of influence. We have accountants in medical field. We have accountants in the in education field. We have accountants in governance. We have accountants. These are the categories that are quite unique, can cut across. But it also comes to the end of the day. This particular person has to specify where their skill set is going to work best. Am I going to be an accountant in medical field? Or am I going to be an accountant in the education field? Or am I going to be an accountant in the public office? So, Mary, up to that particular point, maybe we can have an open engagement for a few minutes, because I think up to that particular point, my slide stops here. So I would just like to hear some engagements a little bit for maybe about 10 minutes. And then if possible, I could ask you guys, we can have a second part of this, and then we can finish on that. But for a start, this is what I wanted us, based on this short period, to be able to just share based on the time. Nimingia late, so I don't want to prolong this also. Yes, I can see someone's hand.
Thank you very much, Pascal. I just wanted to clarify something based on the vision of the World Okello Mentorship Program. Our vision is to create leaders. And okay. As the World Okello Mentorship Program, we define a leader as somebody who is able to influence, inspire, and create some meaningful change in the community. So in line with the first question that you had asked, whether leaders are born or made, I realized that the people who were saying leaders are made was specifically talking about political leaders. And some of the examples they were giving were somebody is able to speak, like you even gave an example of Sifuna and Wall, because I think there are some attributes, yes, are innate, that if you're a leader, they give you an edge. But I don't think that the fact that you are born a speaker, then you automatically become a leader. Yeah. So there are some processes that you will have to follow, the people that you interact with, that actually elicit that interest in you of becoming a leader. Because there are many people who are able to speak. There are many people who are able to do, quote unquote, what we consider as a leader, but they aren't. Yeah. But so coming back to our definition, and actually the last part is very important for us, creating meaningful social and environmental change. That is something that somebody just picks interest and you do anything. We're not, as the old mentorship pro, we're not looking at somebody holding a position, but whatever sphere you are, and some of our mentees are really doing great things. Some of them are running social initiatives around environment, around health, and those are the people that consider to become leaders. And I don't think such kind of people are born. These are just people that you, depending on how you were raised, you just see a problem within your community and you start solving that problem. So because when you say born, then it means we are cutting off very many people. If I wasn't born speaker, then does it mean I can't be a leader? That is not true. That is not true. There are very many not able to speak, but the kind of thing they're creating is enormous. It's very enormous. Yes, when you're able to speak, when you're able to stand in front of people, it gives you an edge in terms of influencing, in terms of just convincing people. But they're just people who are not able to speak in front of a multitude. But when it comes to door-to-door campaigns or door-to just speaking to one-on-one people, small meetings of town halls, they still convince people. Yeah. So whichever ability that we have, we just need to be self-aware. We just need to be self-aware, and within whichever person you are, you can be a leader. The only thing that you need to do is just identify a vision, identify a problem, please come up with a solution to that problem. Those are the kind of leaders that even our country, Kenya, require. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. You are very right about that. Yes, Levis, you have your hand up.
What I can say is that as the organizer said, is that a leader is made, and a leader is not born, because you can be born a firstborn, and eventually you will find that a lastborn is the one who is controlling the family. So a leader is made, and that's why we have mentors. We have some people up there who are looking after. So in short, we are trying to make these young people to follow the right path, to find the solution to the problems that we are seeing. So I want to hands with the organizer is that a leader is made and not born.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the convener of this particular session has just clarified. Because and Levis, what you have used as an example is wow, so point on, because the family setup could be one of these examples that we all view from. How many times have you seen firstborn become leaders of the family to give and guide and give direction to the rest of the people? Most often times, you find even the lastborn becomes the voice, even the eldest of the people tend to listen. And so we can't confuse the aspect that just because someone is a firstborn in their family automatically means that they become any leaders of the family. No. And so the very aspect that has been mentioned, that it is through programs like the ones you guys are running, that we are able to identify some of those young people that do not just know or self-identify themselves as leaders. And the most interesting thing is that they have this particular kind of abilities that just needs to be guided, mentored, pointed to the right direction, going through the process of panel beating. And then when you just, release that particular cohort into the community, they will be self-identifying things, and then they'll be coming up with innovations that are able to highlight these particular challenges and be able to come up with solutions. And that is part of the things that we are actually championing for at the Youth Parliament of Kenya. Our areas are two key specific: redefine leadership and good governance, and number two, social economic transformation of the young people. These two areas are divided into 4 for each, which brings a total of 8 strategic focus areas. Guess what? At the end of the day, all these things are tied to sustainable development goals. So when you hear the Youth Parliament of Kenya, we are not a political front. We are a very non-partisan entity. and what we are trying to do is to identify what are the challenges that are happening in our communities at the grassroots. And then we are bringing this particular space where these young people, some of those, in fact, I can see from where you guys have already worked, I can see potential candidates that will come on to the Youth Parliament of Kenya, especially when we head into our elections in 4 months' time. We'll be giving young people to do their elections so that they can elect their representatives who will be leading and guiding them to come up with customized solutions for the challenges they see in their communities. Because at the heart of it is we want young people to be creative, bring these business ventures that are in their mind and have them manifested outwards so that they can now have these things running, have as many young people absorbed into these particular ventures that they are creating so that young people can also have money. Guess what? Do you know when young people have money in their pockets, some of these things that we find young people being pulled into by the political class will no longer be there. So if kama kijana ako na pesa kwa mfuko and then anaitiwa 1,000 bob, run for 30 days to campaign for a political aspirant, and yet they have something that earns them about 3,000 shillings a week, or even maybe 5,000 shillings a week. By the end of the month, this young person makes some good money. They just don't see the value of running for 30 days to campaign for an aspirant, only to be given some few thousand shillings. And guess what? Even these young people with that particular aspect of being empowered economically, we can say Agatha decides or Eric decides, oh, I'm going to actually run for member of parliament, or I'm going to run for member of county assembly. If these young people that we are actually empowering can actually say, okay, we are not going to depend on who and who to be able to fund Eric, because we young people have been empowered enough. We have come up with ventures. These ventures are raising resources. We are going to fund Eric to become a representative of the voices of the young people. So yeah, just like this program has actually put it right, it is about identifying those young people and putting them up into this mentorship journey, skill development journey, and then have them come up creatively and innovatively some of the things that will bring a change in their communities, in our counties, and the nation at large. Is there someone probably with Mary? You can probably read for us some comments if someone is not actually speaking. Yeah, I can see you say that some people can use the chat box, and I'm still waiting to see some chats. Any person that probably has a question or maybe a reflection that they want to share with us. Can we hear from Priscilla, probably? Then I can see Peter, Caleb. And then Mary, you can guide me also, because I didn't want to go past the time. I just wanted to introduce because I came a little bit late. If you guys feel we can do a part 2, then we can be able to do that. Yes, Boaz.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity once again. I don't know whether I'm audible because it's raining where I am.
Yeah, I can hear you, Boaz, and I think the rest of the team can hear you as well.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to know your insights, or maybe your thoughts on what happened, or what actually transpired yesterday in the national politics of Kenya. Where we saw the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, and his former Deputy President, that is Rigathi Gachagua, exchanging words, where the President decided to hit back at the United Opposition members, where we saw them body shaping each other and, saying all manner of things against each other. And my question comes here. According to the Citizen TV, I saw Yvonne made some headline that the president stooped too low, to engage himself in such kind of exchange with the opposition team. Now, in this context of leadership, What is your take on what transpired?
Yeah. Actually, and I think most of you will agree with this, that what we were able to experience, the public outbursts, the bare-knuckled attacks, the bitter fallout between the Kenyan president and his former deputy president. You know what they were doing? They were exchanging yesterday. It's really terrible. But now, these are some of the key highlights that from my end I'm actually looking at. I believe number one, there is the fragility of political alliances, whereby the feuds highlights that political marriages often happen out of convenience. And the moment that particular marriage ends, what happens is people tend to become personal. But you know, the biggest people that are sold a terrible narrative are, it is we, the people, citizens, and mostly young people. So when these people are exchanging like that, we tend to believe that there is bad blood between them. There is a political leader some time back who said, please don't put, and I hope we are not going to turn this conversation into a political one, because we were talking generally about leadership, but we can actually just pinpoint some of the important key aspects we can learn from what happened yesterday. The aspect, there is the aspect about betrayal and disillusionment. There is also the aspect about having something I call emotional intelligence. And I'm very sure that Walter Okello Mentorship Program does definitely teach the young upcoming leaders on emotional intelligence. Yvonne Okwara was saying this was a stupid law. So analysts and politicians have debated that the temperament of these particular leaders highlights that emotional maturity is very critical. Critics are also arguing that blaming outburst on provocation also demonstrate that there is a lack of control and leadership maturity. But this all goes and ties to something we call emotional intelligence. Then these two people, there is also one thing that is just between them. It's called, I can call it the big man syndrome. So from their behavior, it reflects a persistent big man politics in this particular country. And this is something that we young people that are coming up, we actually need to highlight this thing, and we need to learn from it and actually be able to display something different, honestly speaking. And so emotional intelligence is number one thing that I'm looking at this particular aspect. Then number two, there is a narrative and an ideology which we must not buy into, that these two people are fighting. I will not be surprised, guys. This is my personal perspective. I don't know about you, but this is as an individual, not even as a representative of the Youth Parliament of Kenya, but as a strategist in the governance space. I will not be surprised if eventually, before we get to the election period, an alliance is made and you see these people fighting outbursts between each other. They decide to join together, come up, because one of them eventually will come and say, I'm going to give up all this because I need this particular share. So if that other person is able to provide what this person wants, trust me, we will be left wondering what happened to this person who was calling names and all that. So it is about interest. There is an ideology, there is a narrative that these particular people are trying to sell to the population in the country, and that thing should not be advocated for. Then number two, very important, we have this organization agency. It's called NCIC. I think you guys know about it. I don't know where these guys have gone, because at this particular very point, this is where their work should have been very, very important. There is a time where we understood that one of the priorities or one of the works or roles of NCIC is to ensure that this particular kind of scenarios we witnessed yesterday, the body shaming, the name calling, all those particular kind of stuff that we witnessed, that these are the things that should not be happening in the space, because it is doing something. It is charging the population of the citizens in this country to actually start behaving in a particular manner. They are trying to drive us to start thinking in a certain way. If the young people, the Gen Z, started a movement saying we are partyless, we are, when they didn't say we are partyless because we don't belong to any political parties. In fact, most of these young people were part of a political party, but they observed what these political parties are doing and they felt at this particular point, what these particular political parties are championing for is not what we want to be championed for. So we are going to unite together and say, we are raising our voice not as a certain party. We are now going to be partyless, not advocating for any party, even though we are members of political parties. Then number two, we are not going to say this is our leader, because at that particular point, some young people who are vocal were being targeted, they were disappearing and stuff like that. What am I saying? We need to come to that particular point where we are not buying into the narratives that we are seeing. This thing is happening. And the saddest thing, and this is why I mentioned the areas where we young people need to find our places of leadership, our spaces of leadership. Do you see what Yvonne Okwara, she represents the media environment. That is also a very important avenue for young people in terms of leadership aspect. Medias are very important. The media environment is very important because the kind of narrative the media throws to the population, it is what will drive the mindset of the people. If the media are going to work on the guiding principles, and I believe they have principles they abide by, which means they have to report accurately. Media is also supposed to be a unifying factor. Before the bulletins come out, they need to double check them. If we release to the public, what is the impact of this particular conversation that is gonna do? Is it going to charge people up emotionally? Is it gonna create tribal alliances amongst the population of Kenya, or what have you? So those are very important aspects now. That's why I'm saying the spaces for young people to enter into leadership is not only, as Walter said earlier on, it is not just in the political space. It is everywhere, corporate world, and as I said, in medical field, in public office, when it comes to all those, very, very important. And so, Boaz, your question as you asked, yeah, yesterday it was a disaster. Yesterday it was a disappointment. And this is now why guys like you at the Walter Okello Mentorship Program and us at the Youth Parliament of Kenya have a lot of work, especially to the next upcoming young leaders. We need to actually be able to bring this out very clearly. What kind of people are we trying to actually bring into these spaces? I don't know if there is someone that has got an addition on that. Maybe they can also share on that.
Pascal, hi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
It's raining over here. But thank you so much for actually being so elaborate and sharing that bit of leadership. It gives us an image of then what leadership looks like. And I'm just so glad that we're having this conversation. I'm also happy people are also contributing and asking questions. And for sure, we need a part 2 for this. I'm so sure that we really need a part 2 for this. And thank you so much. I think our time is far much spent. And if there are no more questions, maybe I'm sharing a WhatsApp link for our WhatsApp group, the Walter Okello Mentorship Group, where we normally have these conversations and forums. So then we can continue with the conversations over there. But again, I want to promise you that we'll do a part 2 of this to, be able to even identify or map out these spaces that young people are supposed to take up spaces into. Otherwise, I'm so grateful. Thank you for heeding to this call. Thank you for sharing. And I believe as young people, we have spaces. We have these opportunities for ourselves. And then we also have the roadmap. Thank you for sharing that leadership formation model. I'm so grateful on behalf of Walter Okello Mentorship Program.
Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me onto this platform. And I'm really looking forward for us to having the part 2. that time I will come prepared. The reason why today I kind of came in a little bit late and also didn't have everything in place. 2 weeks ago, I buried my father. And today I was on the process of working something out in regards to his pension so that it can go to the next of kin. So I've spent the entire day moving up and down. By the time I was sitting down to prepare for this, time had also catch up with me. But thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really look forward to us having the second part. And I will come prepared very well for that one as well. I hope I brought something in this part one that has stirred you up, and looking forward to the second conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, and pole sana. We are so grateful, and we are holding space for you. Asante sana. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. And at this point, I think we may leave at our own pleasure, and see you next time. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.